Well, I'm a biochemist by training, but what I'm really interested in now is looking at viruses and how they interact with cells. And so they're these tiny little molecular factories, and it's all about how, when they get into these cells, how they exploit that environment and also how the cell responds to that. So I'm interested in particular classes of proteins called restriction factors, which seem to stop viruses in their tracks in cells. And that's what I'm particularly interested in. And that's what the work in my Henslow Fellowship was about. So in 2014, I was at a stage of my career where I was coming to the end of my postdoc and I was really ready to develop my own ideas, have my own research projects. And so I'd applied for a couple of the UK-wide fellowships and got to interview stage, but not quite got across the line. And then I saw an advert for a Henslow Fellowship and I just thought, wow, this is perfect for me. And so I applied because it gave me the opportunity to have my research supported, but also to go back into an environment that I really loved, and that's the Cambridge Collegiate System. I would say the biggest challenge in HIV at the moment is that most people aren't thinking about it. And that's really been brought into focus over the last couple of years with the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, which myself and a lot of my colleagues have kind of pivoted to. HIV is very much still a problem. If you talk to people at a party about the fact that you work on HIV, they go, oh, really? Why? Isn't that solved? And, you know, if you have access to antiretroviral drugs and they work for you, then yes, to a certain extent, you can live a very normal life. But for 37 million people across the world, that's not the case for every single one of them. So it's really important that we're still understanding the virus better and developing new therapeutics, new interventions. And so that's one of the biggest challenges, I would say, for HIV research at the moment. A lot of the time when I talk to people at parties about what I do, people assume that I'm curing HIV, which would be amazing if I, you know, something I did led on to something like that. But the advantage of working on viruses is that actually what you do has a lot of applications. They tell you a lot about the molecular biology of a cell. And so this actual protein I work on, called SAMHD1, has an important role in the cell. It degrades the building blocks for DNA. And so that not only stops the virus growing, but it also has implications for things like cancer. So some of the work that I'm doing at the moment is trying to look at how SAMHD1 levels are controlled and whether we can look at that to see how we can treat specific cancers in people. But it would be great also if we found out more about SAMHD1 that could develop into an HIV treatment, and that's something that my Henslow Fellowship looked at.